Welcome to the New Monks. This podcast is dedicated to those of us on the journey of evolution. Through these episodes, we will dive into the lives of individual people and discover what they have learnt and how they have handled their growth. We believe that we all have wisdom to be shared with each other and can learn from listening to each other's stories. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you feel like leaving us a review and sharing the love, that would be greatly appreciated. Hello and welcome back to the New Monks podcast, episode 18. I'm Jay Muller, your host, and you can find me via the links below. And I'm really happy to be here to be talking with Shivani about her story. I met Shivani earlier this year in Mumbai, and we've been talking a lot ever since. And she's really been going through a lot of changes and just deep self-reflections. I think one of the big shifts that happened was one of her family members recommended that she see this spiritual healer who turns out was waiting for her to come for a few years. And then she ended up being isolated in India, in Mumbai, for lockdown, away from home. And that forced a lot of moments in solitude and really a big, deep reflection on what was happening in her life. She's also comes from the fashion industry as a model and has definitely learnt a lot through her job that has taught her a lot about life. And now really realising that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and stepping into her power more now and recognising that, you know, she doesn't need to spend time with people who aren't also doing this work on themselves, because it can be such a journey. You know, it takes a lot of effort and a lot of time to put that work in on yourself and to come to that recognition that actually I don't need to lower my standards for anyone. That's an amazing realization, to be honest. So yeah, I'm really happy to have Shivani here on the podcast. I feel like this episode is filled with a lot of wise words from this queen. So I hope you enjoy the episode, and don't forget that you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, and if you feel called to donate as well via our website, all the links are below. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much for being here on this podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So yeah, how we start normally is if you could just take a few deep breaths in and out.
Just going to put this down. Okay.
And then just tell us how you're feeling right now.
Right now. Well, this took a little while.
This little saga.
This little setup. So, no, I feel good. I feel okay. I feel like it's a bit of a strange time just generally for everyone right now. But yeah, generally I feel okay. Mm-hmm.
That's so true. It is a strange time right now.
It is a strange time, but I seem to be dealing with it okay, so.
Yeah. Actually, I feel like that's a good place to start, because you were in India when the lockdown hit, right?
Yeah. So I went to India in January, and then I think this all started happening. I'm not sure exactly when it started happening. I feel like in India it was a little bit delayed. But then I got back to the UK at the end of June. So yeah, I did pretty much all of the lockdown in India by myself.
And I feel like we've been talking quite a lot, and I know you've been like on quite a journey of growth since then. But also I feel like it wasn't necessarily the starting point of like this, or maybe
I feel like I I did kind of like come across my path, if you will. I feel like a couple of years ago, or maybe a few years ago, when, I mean, I've always kind of been quite curious about these things. I don't really know what I'm defining as these things, but I feel like because of my culture and the way that I've been raised, like in an Indian family, we're quite, well, obviously my mum's very religious, but then also there's like a lot of spirituality in my religion and in my culture, I feel, because I was born into a Hindu family. So yeah, I've always been quite curious, but then I think about a couple of years ago, I came across somebody that was kind of like a healer. And I feel like from him, even though his job is to heal people, he ended up doing quite a different kind of thing with me where, I mean, I initially went in, I didn't really need healing physically from anything, but I just went in because my cousin had gone to see him, somebody in India had heard about him, and it just was kind of like this chain, and then she said, I think you would find him really interesting. So I went to visit him, and he kind of expected me to come, which to me was really weird. He'd almost been waiting for me to arrive for quite a few years, and he told me that when I got there. Well, not really when I got there, I feel like he told it me like about a couple months into us spending time together, and I feel through him I learned a lot more about spirituality.
That's so crazy. So I didn't realise that it was from a connection in India.
Yeah, so it was my cousin's sister-in-law, yeah, so my cousin's husband's brother's wife who had worked with him, and then then she'd come here, she told my cousin he's based here, and then she went to see him, and then she put me in touch with him. But yeah.
And then you had like quite a number of sessions with him, right?
Yeah, I worked with him for about 6 months, and this was before I went to India in January. So yeah, I think it was about 6 months on and off. But all in all, I did quite a lot of sessions with him.
And then what would you say happened or like to you through those sessions?
I think that he was just amazing at reading my energy, and he almost knew me better than I knew myself. Which was weird because you have all these things that are going on inside you, but for me it was just all like a big ball of like chaos, and then he started to break things out individually and like kind of talk to me about things and ask me like, does this resonate, do you feel like this? And it was almost like he was reading my mind, but also I just feel like he was really good at picking all those parts away from each other and helping me focus on each area to just like strengthen my mind and my perspective, the way that I see things, the way that I handle my own energy. So yeah, I saw a lot of like I saw a massive difference in myself after I started working with him. Yeah.
Well, did it bring you clarity in some way? Because you said it was like quite cool.
Yeah, I think I don't know, in my eyes the way I see it is people have a path, and when I went to meet him, he said that I'm on my path, but I've just come a little bit away from it, and I think that's because of my job, because of the industry that I'm in, which is I'm a model and I'm in the fashion industry, and obviously I've got a lot of friends, or I did have a lot of friends in that industry before this all started happening, and I feel like, not to blame it on anyone because ultimately it's all within you, but I think that I had definitely let myself go a little bit spiritually, and also I'd forgotten what it was that I actually wanted out of life, which ultimately I feel now is to help. But then when I went in to meet him, I was just a bit lost.
Like astray from your path.
Yeah, I was very lost. I was very confused. Didn't really know what the point was and what I was doing, and I was kind of just living in this almost like rat race, or just allowing other people to pull me in different directions. Again, it's nobody's fault but my own, but it was me that was allowing people to pull me in all these different directions, where actually now I'm a lot more grounded within my own energy, if that makes sense.
Can you talk a bit more? I like that how you described it. You feel like everyone has a path.
I guess I say that because that's kind of what he said to me when I kind of met him. He said you've fallen a little bit off, but when I say, for me, what it means when I say is being true to yourself, like I feel like a few years ago I wasn't really being true to myself. I was kind of like here, there and everywhere. Deep down I knew who I was, and I like loved myself. I loved what I was doing. Like I loved if it's really making sense what I'm saying, but deep down I knew that there was something that I needed to bring out of myself, if that makes any sense. But I was kind of just swayed a little bit because I think because of the kind of environment that I was in.
Yeah.
I was kind of a bit swayed by the environment, but actually none of that really matters. Does that make sense to what I actually want to do now?
Yeah, because it's all part of getting you to wherever, like.
Yeah, I just feel like I was being pulled left, right, and centre, and I'd just forgotten who I was a little bit deep down. And that's what I mean when by staying on your path is just being true to who you are. You know.
That's really nice. I like that because I feel like a lot of times you can think of the path as a destination, you know, and then it can get really confusing.
Yeah, for
you
me,
know.
Yeah, I guess for me it's more just staying on track to like my own morals and values, and I feel like I was off track because I didn't even know who I was, if that makes sense. You know.
Yeah. But that, I feel like also what you just said there, that's what this whole journey is all about, knowing who you are.
Yeah. Takes a lot to learn that. And I'm not even saying that I know it now. I just think that I'm in a much better place than I was a few years ago.
Yeah. So he basically was a key holder, I guess, in some way for you.
He kind of brought me back to myself and like just made me question what it is that I want out of life.
Yeah.
He made me understand who I am just by me telling him, by him asking me specific questions, you know, about what makes me happy. But he would put me in scenarios like if you were in this scenario, what would you do in this situation? And I would, so for example, like he asked me if I saw a family of elephants, and like there was like a mom and dad, a little baby, a really cute little baby elephant, and like a disabled elephant that was like a bit couldn't really see properly, or maybe was like deaf or something, was basically struggling. And then he said, and then there's like this and that and all these like different elephants. He described them all, gave a little bit about their personalities, and then he was like, okay, which one do you go to? Like, which one's the one that you go to? And without a doubt, like I would go to the one that needed help. Like I would be I wouldn't, you know, the kid would be cute and I'd be like, oh, that's cute, but I would just want to give all my love to the one that needed it, you know. And I think that says a lot about me as a person, but actually I didn't even realise that about myself.
Oh really?
Yeah, because I was so pulled in all these different directions with my job, and I really let what I do define who I am. And obviously it's difficult being in this industry of fashion. You kind of like, there's a lot of superficial things going on, and it's like keeping up to date with trends and people's opinions on things that I believe now don't really matter at all. But then, yeah, I kind of got lost in all of that, you know, to the point where...
I can imagine it's really easy to get lost in that.
Yeah, especially when you're young. You start doing it when you're, like, quite young. You feel like you're very... Is the word impressionable?
Yeah.
Especially when you look up to a lot of people within that industry, you just feel like that's the be-all or end-all. Whereas actually now I feel like the be-all or end-all is just within me.
Yeah, what... That process...
I'm just getting this.
Of getting to that realization, like how did that come?
I think I just like learned to sit with myself in my own energy. I think sitting by yourself is like the most simplest thing, but just sitting alone in a quiet room with nobody talking to you, and just your own voice in your own head. There's no one to hide from. You're not running away from anyone. You don't have to act a certain way because people are here. You don't have to listen to other people's opinions. Just to sit by yourself on your own gives you such an understanding of who you are. It's literally, it was as simple as that for me. I just sat by myself and I thought, now everything's gone, everything's stripped away. I could be anywhere, I could be any age, I could be wearing any kind of clothes or anything. What do I want? Who am I? What's the point in anything? What makes me happy? What really makes me happy, you know? And I started asking these questions to myself, and then I started understanding the kind of person that I am. And
was that happening this year? Or?
Yeah, I think that's happened more this year because I've had a lot of time to spend on my own. So like I said, when this whole lockdown was happening, I was in India by myself. And a lot of people thought when I was in India that I had family there, but I don't have family in Mumbai, which is where I was based. I have family in Punjab who I'm not really in touch with. So I was literally by myself. I had one friend. Well, I've got a lot of friends in India, but obviously they were locked down within their own families in their own houses. And then my one friend whose place I ended up staying at, she is from London, and she left as soon as she heard the word pandemic. She came home, and I decided to like battle it out, and I thought, oh, it's not going to last very long, or I'll be fine, it'll all blow over. I've come to India to work, like I'm not going to not do that now. So I decided to stay, and I ended up staying for such a long time by myself, and I just had to like be with my own thoughts and be with my own energy, and like there was no one there and nothing there, and I was literally by myself like all day. To spend that much time on your own with not really anything to do because I wasn't working. And there's only so many times you can FaceTime your family and friends without it just being like pointless. You do have to really sit down and like just thoughts start flooding in, you know?
Yeah.
Without you even wanting them to.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the mind, isn't it?
Yeah, and you have to deal with it. So all that happened in India. I'm really grateful for it though.
That's really cool. I think that's really great because, you know, this whole lockdown, I think it sounds like you really took that time to like, you know, focus on yourself and reflect.
Yeah, I kind of saw it as an opportunity. I thought, I wonder why I've been put here in this situation by myself.
Yeah. And
I always try and be quite optimistic, and I was like, I wonder what I can gain from this experience of being here alone. I felt like I was in a really unique situation because a lot of, well, I probably wasn't because I'm sure there's a lot of people that were like away from home, but a lot of my friends, I know I had the option to leave and come home, and a lot of my friends did that. They just fled and went back to their houses, and I thought what could be really easy now is going to a place where I'm really comfortable, my mum's house, where sure I'll have, you know, somebody there giving me attention all the time. I can pop downstairs whenever I want to, you know, we can do things together. You know, I've got everything I need in that house, or I can make myself really uncomfortable and stay here and see what might happen from me pushing myself outside my comfort zone, because your mind is never going to want to take the hard route. It's always going to want to go for the easy option and the most comfortable option because that's all that it knows. So for me, that was going back home, and I thought, I'm going to push this in hope that I'll gain something from it, which I really do believe that I did, even though looking back now, if you ask me if I would do it again, I mean, I probably would because of all the stuff that I've gained from the experience, but it wasn't easy.
Yeah, I think that's your growth comes in a place outside of your comfort zone. And it's so true. It's easy to not do that.
Yeah.
What do you think are the main things that you learnt in that period?
I think it's probably the same for a lot of people. I think that I just really I think I realised that I was just not really living, even though a lot of people probably look at me and think that I am, because I kind of went off track because I went to university and everybody got you know, they kind of went into a corporate job where they're working for somebody, or you know, they all ended up at Canary Wharf, or they ended up like working for somebody, whether it be like is it a graduate scheme or something, when you graduate and then you go straight into a graduate scheme. But I went off and started modelling because I'd already been scouted as a model at university. So I think a lot of people probably look at me and think I have this really free life, but I feel like I was actually not very happy doing what I was doing, or at least the way that I was doing it, if that makes sense. I was almost just trying to keep my head above water, which probably isn't how it seemed from the outside, like I've said, but for me it really was like that because I didn't really have a plan. I didn't really know where I was going or where I wanted it to go. I was just doing it because it worked, and because it worked well for me, so I thought I may as well just keep doing it because I would be stupid not to. And like, you know, for me to quit modelling when it works would be very, like, I felt like I'd be very ungrateful, you know. So I just carried on doing it. But when I was in lockdown, I realised that actually it's not that I guess it doesn't make me miserable, but I'm just not I just feel like I'm not really living. I'm just,
and it maybe it's that sense of fulfillment.
Yeah, I'm not getting that. That's what I felt.
Yeah, that's great. I feel like, yeah, maybe there were some other people who, it really gives you the time to reflect, like, hang on, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah, so I think that's the main thing, that I just started to think, what do I want to do? Like, I've been given this life, it's a gift. Am I just going to keep doing, like, how do I want to live each day, you know? What more can I get out of it? I feel like a lot of people have been through that. But yeah, that's the main thing.
I think that's really big. What is there anything you want to share, like, with your modelling career? Because I feel like that, in general, is quite a difficult industry, and like you said, just being pulled in so many different directions, like, and to find a sense of fulfillment within that as well. Like, just in general, that whole industry, you know, the way that it's fun, it's like, it's quite, you know,
I think
3D.
Yeah, it is very 3D. I've to be honest, I've got a lot of, I mean, I think I've been quite fortunate because I have quite strong energy, I feel. So I've managed to maintain my mental health, like, very well, but that's unfortunately not been the case for a lot of my friends who may have started even younger than I did and have ended up, you know, I'm not here to, like, trash talk the modelling industry. I mean, I've been doing it for so long now, and I do
love that.
I do love it. I just think it's all about perspective and the way.
Yeah.
I think it's about holding your own within the industry and knowing who you are, and because you are constantly going to get people.
Yeah.
What's the word? Projecting their opinions of you onto you. You are constantly going to get people telling you. You're constantly going to get people telling you you're not good enough, or you're too this, or you're too that, or anything. I mean, fortunately, I've not really experienced it that much, but I know that other people have, and I can't imagine, like, well, I can imagine, because I've seen the things that my friends have had to go through, where they've had, like, eating disorders and they've got, like, body dysmorphia and stuff like that. So I think that if you're going to model, or just be in this industry, you have to have very thick skin, and you have to just really know yourself really well, and not take things so to heart that other people are going to say to you, because people are going to say a lot of things, so you just have to, you know.
Yeah, how do you deal with that? And I guess it must have been something that also changed over time.
Yeah. I mean, at the beginning, I used to take it quite literally, and I used to always think maybe I'm not good enough. I feel like all of us experience that at one point or another.
Yeah, in life as well.
Yeah, in life, yeah. But with agencies and stuff like that, it literally comes down to your statistics, it literally comes down to, like, your body measurement. So there is like a distinct line between being good enough and not good enough. Like, you're not tall enough, or you're not skinny enough, or you're not this enough or that enough, or you can only be signed to this agency because that agency wouldn't be interested in you. There's a lot of that goes on now in 2020. A lot of things are different. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's very diverse now. A lot of things have changed. It's not so like you have to be this tall and you have to look like this. There's all kinds of different models, which is amazing. But yeah, I feel like you just have to. What was the question?
But how do you deal with the constant, you know, people projecting and saying,
You just,
because I think that's huge, just in general. Because I feel like in life, that's one thing human beings love to do, you know.
Project. Yeah, that's how you have to look at everybody. You have to look at them as if they are just projecting their own insecurities onto you. It's not actually much to do with you. It's more to do with them. For example, if somebody's really stressed out at a shoot and they're like, hurry, get changed. It's not because you've done anything wrong or you need to get changed quicker. You're doing your job perfectly fine. It's probably because they're stressed that they're not going to meet the deadline. It's always within them, you know. It's very rarely about you. And if they're giving you an attitude and being like, oh honey, like, you're not tall enough to be signed to that agency, like, I think it's just that they want to get their own anger out, you know. It wouldn't actually be a problem. Like, I sat with somebody once, and this is one of the very few bad experiences I've had in the industry, and she told me that all her models were 6 foot. Now I'm 5'8" or like 5'8.5", and I know the minimum back then for being a model was 5'8", and she told me you have to be 6 foot to do whatever it was that she wanted me to do, and you actually just didn't, because I'm friends with all the girls that ended up doing the job or the show or whatever, and some of them were even shorter than me, so it was literally that she just wanted to put me down.
Yeah, literally.
You know, because obviously I was up and coming, doing really well. She just wanted to put me down. Yeah. And it was about her own... Yeah, passion. It was about her own insecurity that maybe I brought out in her.
Yeah.
Than it was to do with me. I was fine, I could have done the show, it had nothing to do with me. And luckily I'm so strong-minded that I thought, doesn't really make sense.
Girl!
Yeah, I mean, anyone that knows me, that's my friend, or anyone that knows me that's in the industry that knows me knows that I've always really not been that bothered about this, you know. I've never taken it so seriously. Like, I try not to let the job define who I am. It's what I do, it's not who I am.
I love that.
I've always been like that, and people say it's really funny. They're like, "That's why you do all right at it, because like you don't really care."
Yeah. Because otherwise, if you take it too seriously,
I've just floated along.
Yeah.
But again, that was something that I'm not happy with. I don't just want to be floating along in a job. I want to be doing something that I really love.
Yeah.
Whereas I've just been paddling along for years, like, oh yeah, I'm not that bothered if it ends. I'm not that bothered if it doesn't end, which also isn't a good thing to be doing. You know, I feel.
Yeah. I mean, it just sounds like non-attachment, which is, you know, like the big Buddhist principle, because everything in life changes, you know.
Exactly, but I do want to be attached to like something that I actually.
Yeah, or maybe
love.
just a bit more, I don't know, like.
Just something more fulfilling.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think this is huge, because I feel like what you just described is probably happens quite a lot in your industry. But also it's just like such an awareness to be able to see that the way that other people are projecting it has really got nothing to do with you, you know?
It's nothing to do with you. And I've learned that the more people I meet in this industry, the more I understand that better. It's nothing to do with you.
Yeah. I feel like that...
Nothing to do with you as a model. Everything to do with them as a person.
Yeah.
You know.
Feels like that was like a bit of a training ground in some ways as well, you know?
Yeah, I do think I'm in the right place.
Yeah.
At the right time. Like I've said to you before, sometimes I feel like a little mole, and that like there might be a very specific group of people that I'm supposed to talk to. Does that make sense? Or teach things that I've kind of learned, because I feel like a lot of people in this industry, or maybe people that I've come across, really just don't understand just a lot of things about spirituality. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
When people ask me like, how are you so calm, or why do you not care, how can I be like that?
Yeah.
Not saying that I'm the best or anything, but saying that maybe I could help, and I feel like it would be a very specific group of people. Yeah. So I do think I'm in the right place.
And also what you said here about the way you handle it different to other people in the industry.
Yeah.
I feel like some of those aspects that you have were just quite natural to you.
Yeah, I think they are.
Yeah.
I've always been like it. I've not really cared that much about... I'm not really attached myself to the job that much since I've been doing it.
Why do you think that is?
I think that... I think this is deep, but I think it's really deep.
Let's go deep.
I think it was when my cousin passed away. I was about, I can't remember how old I was. I was quite young, like maybe, I was very young, a teenager. And when she died, like she was my best friend, and I did everything with her. She was literally like, each of the cousins had like out of me and my sister, they kind of were like, that one's mine kind of thing, and I was hers, if that makes sense. So when she died, I think the way I looked at life was completely different. I think I started looking at it as I started living as though I'm going to die. Does that make sense?
Love that.
I started living as if we're all going to die. She died, I'm going, we're all going. This isn't forever, and nothing really matters. I mean, I did start taking it to an extreme after she died, and I started like really pushing the boundaries within my Indian family. Like I started dating a white guy, which wouldn't be appropriate, and I was like the first girl to do it in the family. I lived out at university, and that was massively frowned upon. I started wearing makeup and like drinking alcohol, and I never did anything that was like I didn't like I never pushed it that far. I'm quite, like I said, I'm quite grounded within myself. But I used to play up, you know, a lot. And then I started modelling and I just kind of went a bit off. So I did take it to a bit of an extreme to a certain extent. However, I definitely just started living as if like I am going to die, which is true. So I think because of that, I don't really attach myself to anything too much.
Yeah. Big lesson. How old were you?
I think I feel like I might have been about 13.
Wow.
Or maybe younger.
Yeah.
I can't remember now.
Yeah.
It was around that age, something like that. Yeah, I was quite young. Old enough to obviously remember her. But young enough for it to shake it all up.
Yeah. Sounds like it did shake things up.
It did, yeah. It did shake everything up.
Yeah. It's crazy though, experiencing death, it does make you really reflect upon life, you know?
Yeah. It does, man. Especially when it's somebody you're so close to as well, you know?
Yeah.
When you lose somebody that quickly, it just makes you question everything. Because one minute they're there, especially when they're completely healthy and fine, and then the next minute they're gone, it just makes you realise that nothing can be taken for granted, ever. You know?
Yeah.
Because everything's temporary.
Yeah. Definitely. I feel like that's a really healthy way to look at life, you know?
Yeah. So since then I've not really cared much about a lot of things. I mean, I'm starting to more now, because obviously, like I said, I went the complete opposite way, where I started to just have this attitude of I don't care about anything.
Yeah.
But I guess that was my way of dealing with her not being here anymore. But yeah, you need to find a bit of a balance, don't you? It's all about balance.
Yeah, for sure. And then you mentioned this word spirituality a bit, and I feel like sometimes that can be so confusing. Do you know?
Yeah, I'm also confused by it.
Really? I love it.
Yeah, I don't really know what it is. Like when people would ask me, are you religious? I would be like, I'm more spiritual than religious.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm talking about. Right now, I feel like it's all one anyway. It doesn't matter who you pray to or it's all about energy at the end. It doesn't really matter in what force or which way, you know. It's just about you I don't even know if it's about you believing in something. I don't know if it is. I feel like it's just about I feel like it's all within you. For me anyway. That's what I feel.
What would you say spirituality means to you?
Oh damn. I think spirituality to me means
damn.
I think it's I feel like it's about your energy as an individual. Does that make sense?
What do you mean by that? Energy as an individual. I like that.
Like, I feel like spirituality is all about you as a person, your energy, and I don't know if it's about like what good you can do, or like it's almost like about a journey. It's like it's a journey of life, isn't it, for me? It's about, I guess it comes back to like being on a path. It's just about your own journey, your own life. That's what it is for me. And
the path that you said is about being true to yourself.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think so. I guess I've just realised that in this conversation. I don't really know what it is.
I like that though. It's nice. And I feel like there is so much of that, just like, you know what you said about your own energy, like discovering it.
Yeah.
Or rediscovering it.
Yeah.
And like really figuring out what's happening there. And like, I feel like you said there's so much discovery that you've been going through. Well, spirituality is it's just wild, because I feel like even in the world, it's just it's like a trend now, and you know. It
is a trend now. Which is a good thing, I guess, because, I mean, it is a good thing because it means that more people are becoming aware of it. It's great. Yeah. I hope it's not just a trend though. Yeah. It's more of a way of living, you know. But if it has to be a trend for it to then become a way of living, then that's great. I can't complain.
Yeah. And it's just wild. It's like this whole part of discovering. Like there's this and really, really focusing and reflecting on yourself, because I feel like in the world we're really not taught to do that.
Yeah, we're not taught to do that at all.
To like check in what's actually happening in my body, you know.
Yeah, we're not. I guess for everyone it just comes up in different ways, doesn't it? Whether it be that you've made friends with somebody, like how I made friends with you, I learned all this stuff that I wouldn't have even thought about, and then I went to see that guy who helped me, and you listen to things, you read things, you learn things, the dots start connecting really quickly.
That's so true. The dots start
connecting. They all start connecting. You're suddenly reading a book and it sounds like they're speaking an unspoken language, but you understand it.
Yeah.
You can understand it. I'm like, I get you. But not everyone would understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's something that, you know, people are all going on. A lot of people are going on together.
That's so true.
Because so many things resonate, you know. It can't be a coincidence.
Yeah, and then you like also find the people as well come into your life, and it's like, ooh, like it's a journey.
It is a journey. It's a journey, guys.
I love it. If you were to self-reflect now after meeting this guy, and like, although I feel like a lot of your tools or whatever you want to call it, you learned as well just as a child. I feel like.
I think so. Yeah, I had to.
I had to love it.
To survive.
Yeah. Where would you say like you are now?
Oh gosh, where am I now? I feel like I feel like I'm at a point of life where I'm gutting everything out. Like imagine you've had this house and like it's all not nice, and you want to make it really nice, and you've got to gut it all out and get all that stuff out for it to then be like what you want it to be. I'm going through that right now. I feel like since India, which was only like this year, I have realised there's so much work that I need to do on myself, that I want to do on myself, and it's hard. It's like it's actually a really fragile time at the moment. I'm quite sensitive, and like I'm realizing a lot of things about myself. I'm learning. I'm journaling pretty much every day. I'm writing things down. I'm realizing things. I'm working through things. I'm trying to understand myself better, and I'm trying to understand like my problems better, and try and, you know, integrate all this learning into my life, which can be really overwhelming because you feel like this moment that you're in. So for example, the way that I feel right now, putting all this work in, discovering all these things about myself that I want to change, it can feel really suffocating and as though you're in a loop, and this is it, like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. But I know there is, because I know there has to be, but it is really, really hard, like going through this phase of like putting in the work and realising. So that's where I am right now.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing it.
That's alright.
It's like it's also, I think it's like the shadows, when you see the shadows.
You're looking at them all.
Yeah.
And you're like, how am I going to take all these guys on by myself? But you can, you just take them out one by one.
I love it.
But it's hard, man. It's like right now I'm a decent friend, but I wouldn't say I'm a great friend, because I couldn't be a great partner right now, or even like a great child right now, because I emotionally, in this moment of my life right now, I'm finding it really difficult to support myself. So I cannot be there for the people. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. I feel that as well. Like, I know.
What, when you're with me?
No, for me personally.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I can't hold space for anyone at all right now.
That's also fine as well. You
barely hold space for myself. I'm like surviving. I'm in survival mode, like trying to fight all my little demons. I'm quite big. So it's really hard. Like,
love it.
I've noticed that I've found myself like really leaning on my friends and like my family right now, and I kind of have this like understanding, like also like especially with you, where like I think people notice that I'm quite quiet, or I'm not all there, you know. I'm not very present because I'm probably like just processing a lot of stuff, you know, but I'm kind of in hermit mode, and I'm only hanging around with people that I feel like can probably understand that, you know. So right now I think I've got like 2 friends and my mum and my cat.
I love it.
My 2 friends are you and Adia.
But I love this because it's like, I feel like it's such a juicy point right now. It's just like revealing everything and then just realizing what's happening, like seeing it really clearly, and then changing it. Like, okay, let's clear everything up, like you said, in the house.
have to, man. It's a mess. I want to thrive, and I want to have like, and I know that I'm going to get to this point because I have had a really fun life, and I've had like so much fun in my childhood and like in my teenage years, like socially, I mean, and like I've traveled to loads of countries, I've made friends everywhere, like I know who I am, I know my personality, I know that I love being around people, even though I might not want to be around people right now. I do believe that I will find that person again, and this time it will be in a much more healthier way, and I'll be thriving. Like I plan to have like to get myself right and then live the way that I want to live, but right now I just need to get myself right. Do you know what I mean?
100%, and I resonate with what you're saying as well, because I definitely experienced a similar thing. Like I had loads of energy before, was very sure about it, and then everything just shifted, and it was like, hang on a minute, what's going on here?
You have to find yourself again.
With all this new insight.
And this time when we find ourselves, it'll be in a much more healthier way. Because back then, back then I was having so much fun and I was doing all these things, but deep down I wasn't happy with who I was. Whereas now I'm gutting everything out, and I feel like now is the perfect time because of everything that's going on. Like work slowed down, the whole world has slowed down. Like what better time than to really sit down and figure yourself out than now. And that's what I'm doing. And like
build the foundations like properly.
Properly, so that you can actually be there for people around you and for yourself. Because right now and before, maybe I'm not really much use to anyone if I haven't figured myself out. That's what they say, don't they? You have to help yourself first before.
And I think this is huge because it's like we're not taught these things. We live, and you can live your whole life being swayed by everybody else and all the other projections, and not really figuring out who you are.
You can. You can, and right now I already feel so much stronger in myself. There's so many things that I just would not put up with that I may have put up with. Not even that long ago. I've like changed a lot of things, of like what's acceptable and not acceptable.
For yourself?
For myself, like my standards for myself have changed. People.
That's a big one.
That's the first thing I did when I said I started gutting. I literally gutted out people from my life. I've stopped talking to so many people, it's unbelievable. And when you're doing it, you feel like you must be mad, like cutting out so many close friends, because you must think, well, if all these people are bad for me, I'm not going to have anyone. But sometimes it's fine to have no one. It's hard, but when you're in India by yourself, you realise you are by yourself. We come here alone, we go alone, and actually, it's better to have peace with not that many people in it than to have people in it and just be having pointless conversations with and being in toxic situations and people making you feel bad about yourself, because obviously I've had that my whole life, especially because of this job. I've had a lot of people that are projecting stuff onto me that they don't like about the industry, or maybe that they don't like about my job, or if I do a certain job it may bring out, unfortunately I've experienced this a lot with friends who are girls, where me doing well within my career has made them feel bad about themselves as a woman. I've just got to make money and put food on the table, you know what I mean? I'm doing a job, but because it's because I'm a model, and because it's so glamorous and lovely, it literally will make some people, whether that be other models or friends that aren't even in the industry, feel insecure about themselves. If I've like got beautiful images back, people will not be happy for me because it makes them feel not beautiful, which is so sad, but also so toxic to be around, That's so unfair on me, who's trying to do a job, and I've put up with that because I felt guilty for those people, whereas actually it's got nothing to do with me. I'm just doing my job. I don't even really care that much about this job, but even if I did, even if I loved it and it was my passion, I still shouldn't have to sit here and be like, I'm not really that bothered about it. You can also be bothered about it and love what you do, and it can be okay that you're in a job where you're gonna be part of beautiful projects, and there's nothing wrong with it.
And then it's also like taking on that projection from other people, because they're feeling, people project it onto you. And it's like, I don't need to deal with that.
And when you're quite a sensitive person like me, you will take it literally, and it will like make, you know, I'm quite empathetic as well, so it'll make me feel really sorry for them and think, oh, I'll put myself in their shoes. I must have made her feel so bad with these images that I posted on my Instagram. Maybe I shouldn't post things like that because it will make X, Y, and Z feel bad.
Yeah, and like you said, it's like fill your own cup up, like, you know.
Yeah, I've started realising that a lot of people have to do a lot of work on themselves, including me. But we all do, we should.
Yes, so true.
It should be like...
So true.
It's essential for everybody to put the work into themselves. And I am investing so much time and energy into myself now that I won't accept to be around people that aren't doing the same. Because I'm not gonna hang out with people.
Rewind.
I was gonna say it again then.
No, again. Say it again.
I'm just not gonna be around people that aren't putting the work in. And I'm not being rude or nasty. I'm just saying, like, damn, that you have to. There comes a point where you have to protect yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. 100%.
It's hard, man, and I
100%.
can sit here and honestly say that I am lovely. I am so nice and loving and like sweet to everyone around me. Yeah. I want nothing but for everyone to just be happy. I want the best for my friends, the best for my family. I've got so much love to give to people that it's such a shame that there's been situations where I've just not gotten that back, whether that be boyfriends, friends, people I work with, family members.
Preach!
You know what I mean? And then I'm just at a point where I just wish well and love everyone. I put all this work in to just be so happy for everyone around me, even if somebody's doing like tons better than me. Like growing up, my mum, like she's a single mother, me and my sister, you know, she's got me and my sister, and the rest of my family are quite wealthy. Obviously we were not, because it was just me, mum, my sister, and she's a single mum and she's also disabled, so she couldn't work. So as you can imagine, we were like the odd ones out in the family who were all around me and extremely wealthy.
Wow.
If they got any amount of money or any progression within their finances or anything like a promotion at work, we would be nothing but happy for them, you know. Like we would want them to have more. Even if we didn't have a lot, we would still want everyone to have more. And to have that not, you know, wished for you, not only by those people, because my family are great, but just by friends and people, you know. I've worked so hard on myself and in my career. It's such a shame that people just can't give that energy back, so I just can't be bothered.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with, like, I feel that's so strong for me as well, because like you said, I feel like I'm definitely an empath as well, and it's like when it's so mad, and I think this is such a big part of the journey, because other people I've interviewed as well, it's like number one thing is the people in your life. You start to reassess it, and all of a sudden it's like, hang on a minute, this doesn't make sense anymore. And then, because when you start changing and growing, all of a sudden it's like, hang on, why am I accepting this poor behaviour, you know? Exactly.
And if you're anything like me, you almost become allergic to those people. It's become so bad for me that I can't even sit with some people who I used to just want to be around all the time, and I just can't even get through a 3-minute conversation with them anymore, because the stuff they're saying, whether they're gossiping about someone or bitching about someone or comparing or putting other people down or laughing, like, I just can't be around those people. Whereas before I used to think, oh, maybe she's like insecure and that's why she's like that. I would come up with any excuse, or maybe he's like sad and that's why he doesn't want to work, you know, or maybe it's this and that's why he's lazy. I would come up with any reason for anyone, but you do that all day, you know.
Definitely. I think
you just need to higher your standards sometimes, unfortunately, and just sit with people that have the same.
100%. And I feel like, what's that phrase my friend loves as well, your vibe attracts your tribe. And it's important to have the compassion, I think, for other people, but still, it doesn't mean that it has to dictate the way that you feel because of the way they treat you, you know?
Yeah, no, you should, it's fine, you're right, it's absolutely fine to look at people when they're doing certain things. Like, obviously you can't fix everyone, and you can't push them to put in the work for themselves, and we're in environments, like I'm at work around people that I have to kind of switch off from, you know, mentally when I'm around them, and that's fine. But I'm also not going to choose to spend any of my time with those people outside of what I have to do, which is work.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go for lunches with friends that are constantly putting me down.
Yeah.
You know.
I think
to make themselves feel better.
Appreciate your honesty here. I feel like this is such a big thing and a big part of the journey as well. And also like to become whole again is to like, because there are so many, like like you say, we're all doing this work, you know, and this projection thing is just, it constantly happens throughout your life.
Yeah.
And then you do get to a point where you realise, like, hang on a minute, I love it that you were like, you know, I'm a nice, kind person.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah. And then the people that we bump into in life, it's not everybody is like that.
Not everybody is like that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But then because you're so nice and kind, you end up making up.
Exactly. So really, it is like figuring out, actually, no, these are where my boundaries are. Really.
Definitely.
Yeah, I love it. I'm like, I just want to take a moment. Is there any, like, I feel like what you shared here about your upbringing is quite big. You know, it's just like a big reflection to see like how, you know, again, you are quite adaptable to changes in life, you know?
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to share on that? Like, I don't know, just in general.
On my childhood, I think it was difficult, as most people probably are. And I think that, there's loads of things, I guess, about my childhood that's what made me adapt easier to change. I guess if you are like in a situation that is quite toxic, you almost like don't really expect much from life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So then you almost like I don't know, like whatever you get, you're like happy with, and then if things are changing, you're also cool with that. For me personally.
Yeah.
Because I'm whatever I'm given, I'm just grateful for. Because I'm not really used to much.
Yeah.
Because I've had quite a not toxic childhood, but difficult childhood.
Yeah.
I mean, I just said I had like a great childhood. I meant socially, like I had sick friends.
Okay.
Used to play out all the time. Like, couldn't have wished for a better childhood in terms of like socially. I had so much fun. Like, honestly, I had like really, really fun friends. But at home, things were hard. So I think that, I mean, maybe it works both ways. Maybe it also makes it quite difficult for me to adapt to change, because I'm also so used to things kind of being in a certain way, you know. It does make you, it kind of like changes the way that you see life. You know how sometimes you see people and it's like you're wearing rose tinted glasses? It's kind of like the opposite for me. I kind of sometimes look at life and just think of everything as really depressing and like dim, because that's kind of what that's like my format, if that makes sense. It's
like
what
the
I'm
default.
Default for me. You know.
Interesting.
But yeah, you kind of have to step out of that. So it goes kind of both ways.
Yeah.
I feel very grateful for the life that I have now, because I'm not really, I feel like I couldn't imagine that I would have the things that I have now based on the childhood that I had. And like the experiences that I've had, I've got to travel so much through this job and like meet all these different people and all this kind of stuff. Coming from that childhood, I really wasn't sure where I would end up, to be honest. Because emotionally I was just like a mess. So I just didn't think I would survive. And I think a lot of people that looked at my home situation probably would have agreed and thought the same, that I really wouldn't have survived, or would have just ended up like not very mentally and emotionally strong. So I'm quite proud of how I am now. And for that reason, I think that, you know, I don't know, it kind of goes both ways with the changing, you know. Some days it's harder and some days you're just grateful, and if things change you don't mind because you kind of feel like it's all borrowed anyway. So you're like, if I had like a physical problem and I couldn't model anymore, I'd just be grateful for the fact that I've been able to do it for so long and I've had so many wonderful experiences from it. So I would adapt to change quickly, because I would be like, actually, like it doesn't matter, because it's sad, but it's almost like I wasn't deserving of that in the first place. Does that make sense?
Really?
kind of. So I would just be like,
got it.
If it changes, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Because I'm just so grateful that I got to experience all those experiences. But then on the other hand, change can be quite difficult because I guess you're defaulted to like just see things quite negatively based on your childhood. So then when things change, you can look at it from a negative point of view. I don't know, it's different each day, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't really know if what I said made sense.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I feel like we've spoken a bit about, just going through. It's mad, isn't it? It's like we have to pick up the pieces from our childhood and like put ourselves back together again.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And you also have to like dive deep into your parents.
Yeah. Oof.
And understand why they are the way that they are.
Yeah.
And
this is the work.
You're also doing their work,
Yeah.
It's putting in the work for them. You grow up and you end up figuring. Well, I ended up figuring that they're kind of like children themselves, both of them.
I love that.
Now I'm ending up like.
I feel like
putting the pieces together for them.
I feel like this. I've heard other friends saying similar things about their parents. I feel like we're in a stage like just as human beings now where we're realizing like.
Yeah, and it's not their fault.
No, it's not.
It's not their fault. It's the way that they've been brought up, and then it's not their fault because it's probably the way that they've been brought up. But it all comes back down to us, or at least in my family. Like I feel like me and my sister are trying really hard to put the work in to change things.
And I feel like that's such a powerful place. What you just said, it comes down to us.
It comes down to us. I feel like it comes down to a lot of us right now.
My 100%. And like, I feel like it sounds like you're taking it seriously, and you, like you said, you wanna, you're gonna get to a more wholesome place. But I'm just wondering, why do you think that is? Like, because some people see it and they're the shadows and they, it's too scary.
Because I believe that I'm a fighter.
Oof.
There ain't no way that I'm not gonna get to the light at the end of the tunnel. And if I'll die trying. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my god, I love it.
Sounds like we're like filming for a war movie or something. But I will die trying. Like, what else? Like, if it's something that bothers me and it needs changing and it needs work, and if it takes my whole life to get there, then let it take my whole life to get there.
Oh my god, I love that, because it probably will.
Like, let it. I want children. I want a family. I want to get married, even though a lot of people that I work with are constantly hear me being like, I'm not getting married. I do deep down want to have a family. I think me saying that I don't want all that is like, it's like, I'm saying it because it's a defense mechanism, Deep down, obviously, every little girl, or most little girls, based on the way that like society has like made us think about marriage and children, I do want a family. And I feel like if I want a family, then I need to be in the right frame of mind to have a family. I do not want my children to have to go through what I went through growing up. And that sounds like quite cliche, because I feel like a lot of people would say that, but I don't want that for my kids. And if they're gonna be like that, then I'd just rather not have them. So I feel like I have a lot of work to put in because I owe it to them.
Yes, the responsibility.
I owe it to them. I'm not gonna be, not responsible when it comes to my kids.
I love that.
And my partner, it's not fair.
Yeah.
And myself, it's not fair.
Yeah.
And my friends, for anyone that's part of my life, it's not fair.
I love that. We owe it to ourselves.
To the people around us, to our future children, to our future partners, or the partner that we're with now. Like, everyone should put the work in, and so that's kind of why I do it.
I feel like that's so powerful. It's like we deserve it as well,
Yeah. I do believe there is light at the end of the tunnel, and I know there is, because I've had really fun and good life experiences. Yeah. If I have the opportunity to do that again, which obviously I will, like I'm in my 20s, I've got my whole life ahead of me.
Yeah.
If I have the opportunity to do that again with the mindset that I'm in now, even just with the mindset that I'm in today, it'll be great. Let alone the mindset that I'll have when I'm in 6 months or 1 year's time, when I feel like I've made, I've gutted a lot of things out. Can you imagine going back to having all those fun experiences again, like going on holidays with your friends, or I don't know, anything, like anything, going out, or having birthday parties, whatever. Like,
it's like we sink deeper into ourselves. Like, yeah, I feel like also what you said, you're a fighter, that came from like your upbringing.
My mum's a fighter.
Okay.
Naturally, I'm a fighter. My mum's mum was also a fighter. You know, they put up with situations with their husbands that were terrible. All the women in my family are fighters in one way or another. My aunt's a fighter. My cousins are fighters. Like I've been raised by a pack of women.
Love that.
Very strong women.
Okay,
It's so funny.
Yeah.
A lot of men that have come into our family or are even associated with our family, the first thing they've noticed is just this overwhelming energy, feminine energy that's like very strong, that comes from the women. You know, I've been raised by these strong women. You know, so
yeah, and I love what you said about like just doing the work from like, I just love it. You know, this is our choice now. Like, we can change the narrative going forwards.
Yeah, we can, and we are, I think.
Yeah.
And we will, we are.
Yeah.
We can.
That's just so powerful. Cool. I think we can wrap it up now. Is there anything else you want to add?
I don't think so. I think that I could give one tip, which I think is really helpful and has helped me a lot. I think that journaling is really helpful. Nice. I think just getting things down on paper, because a lot of people are like, where do I start and how do I even do this? I know a lot of people suggest meditation, which I think is a great way to sit there with yourself and things pop up into your head, and yeah, it's really good to work through things, and it's good to just have that space to relax, and it sets your day off right. But getting it down and physically writing it down on a piece of paper helps you understand so many of your problems. Like, I bet a lot of people watching this, and me, we're so good at giving other people advice, but we're not that great at taking it. I'm brilliant at giving people advice. When it comes to me, it's like I can't see the situation. I don't know how to function. I have to call my friends and be like, Jess, help me, like this has happened, what do I do? Or run downstairs to my mum. Whereas when you write it down and you have conversations with yourself, whether that be in your journal or literally you could even just stand in front of the mirror, you're probably really good at giving advice. And I feel like when you've written it down and you're having those conversations with yourself, it really helps you.
Love that.
Forward.
I think also it's like a stream of consciousness that comes out that wouldn't necessarily come out if you're just talking, or it's really time.
Especially if you do what I've started doing recently, which is literally not even trying to, because I'm quite systematic with the way that I journal. I'm like, I want to do about this and this and this, and it has to be about. What I've started doing now is just free writing. Anything that kind of comes into my mind, that one's like insightful.
Love that. Because
when you put pen to paper and you just openly write, it's very insightful. You learn a lot of things about yourself.
Yeah.
And areas maybe that you can work on,
Yeah.
So journal.
Amazing. And then actually I just want to ask you one last question to finish.
Yeah.
What does freedom mean to you?
What does freedom mean to me? I feel like freedom for me is breaking the chains that are within.
Oh, shit.
The ones that are within, not the ones the ones that are within, because I'm not that. It's all, whatever's in projects out.
I love that, because I feel like it's all within.
And I feel like there's a lot of chains that are tied up within that I have broken loose or I'm currently doing, and I feel like once I've done that, I'll be free, because then I'll be free to act how I want to act, to talk how I want to talk, to hold myself the way that I want to hold myself. Yeah. Once I've worked through all those things that I want to work through. So breaking the chains within.
Love that. I read something the other day. It said something like, you can't cage me because my mind is free.
Yeah.
Love it.
Love that.
Cool. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great. Amazing story. Loved it.